gentlemen, and welcome to the March meeting of the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a short agenda this evening, but just so everybody knows kind of what the procedure is, the meeting is two halves. During the first half, we will hold public hearings or we will continue public hearings that have been adjourned. For each public hearing, we'll ask the applicants to come forward and to be sworn in. Paul, can you do the swearing in?
Sure.
Okay, good. We have two regular members that are absent, and so Paul and Phyllis will be filling in. And in the public hearing, we'll ask that the applicant just give a very brief description of what their application is about. The board members will have an opportunity to ask questions, and then at that point, the floor will be open for comments from the public on that particular application. Once we've completed the public hearings, we'll go back for the deliberation phase, and during this part of the meeting, there is no further public input, but you're welcome to stay and listen to our deliberations. Okay. There are exactly two items on the agenda. The first one is Daniel Katz, representing Fortunoff, 1890 South Road. So, good evening, folks.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Van Tile from Cuddy and Fader.
I'm Pankaj Shah from Signarama.
Okay.
Do you each swear or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge under penalty of law?
Yes.
I do.
Very well.
Okay.
May I have permission to
Just
hand out
Absolutely.
size documents? So, will you hear me if I speak now, or should I wait?
Yeah, just hang on, and then if you need to refer to the easel there should be a handheld mic that works.
Thank you.
This follows along with that.
Okay.
Thank you. Is this live? Hello?
Yep. Works fine.
You asked us to come back this time. I represent Dan Katz, and he was concerned about the questions that the board asked the last time. I wanted to make sure you had all the information available to you. If you remember, this is a somewhat difficult situation since it's an existing, very unattractive sign that's well oversized. No one can figure out the history of how this sign got there. It's created some expectations on behalf of the tenant as to the sign size that's there, but we fully understand that this sign is not grandfathered or permitted. No one knows the background to it. So when Pankaj was here last month, he proposed a sign that is the same size as the existing sign, with this improved greatly, of course, with the wrapping of the metal and the creation of a much more monumental-looking sign, with 3/4 of the space devoted to Fortunoff, the major tenant that is occupying that much of the space, with one sign left for the wine and liquor store that will be in the space as well. And what concerned the members of the board a month ago was, I think you put it quite aptly in saying just a little too much blue, right? I think there were at least 3 of you that said that. And so you asked us to go back to the drawing board, not only from an aesthetic point of view, but also the point was raised that the board wants to do what it can to bring the sign more into conformance, even though it's a pre-existing sign, and also look. The board has a legal obligation, as you pointed out last month, to grant the minimum possible variance that will meet the needs of the applicant while at the same time not creating an adverse impact on the community. So this is the sign, this is one of the signs you requested, and this is a sign that is a total of 68 square feet, so it's a reduction in size. It trims solely blue. It was made 6 inches shorter on the top, 6 inches shorter on the bottom, so you have that in your reduced size packet as well. And the applicant is more than willing, as Pankaj expressed to you last month, to accept this sign. For Fortunoff, of course, the blue is part of the branding. That's part of the sign. Signage isn't always words. In fact, I think those of us who see signs as we drive up and down highways sometimes learn that all kinds of letters and colors are sometimes obfuscating the brand as opposed to clarifying it. So, yeah, go ahead. You also asked us to show you a conforming sign that wouldn't require a variance at all. And so we prepared this drawing, and I guess we think it looks kind of dinky. It doesn't, it meets the size, but it doesn't have very much elegance. And what we've done in this panel is to show you the comparison of the compliant sign and I don't want to characterize it, but to call it the compromise sign or the middle of the road sign. And we think that the middle of the road sign looks much better and is more balanced. And actually, I think, having represented many people with colorful signs, I think that the plainness of the color adds a certain amount of dignity to the sign, especially when you compare it to the sign that is there now. Now, this picture is a little misleading because this is the original size sign. So don't read this drawing for the size of the sign. But there was some discussion of what would be done at the base of the sign, and this is the landscaping that's proposed. But it would be, because all the photos we showed you, unfortunately, were with snow on the ground. But the sign would be smaller as per the arrangements. And this landscaping will be installed as part of the sign improvements. Now, you had asked us what the building looks like from the front, and so this is a photo that shows it's the reverse colors, the white on the building with the blue of the signage. And I think this drawing makes a very interesting point that if one were in the, let's call it the fast-moving lane of the southern Route 9 south, you would likely see this lettering on the building. There doesn't seem to be anything, at least in the winter condition, that would block your view of the signage. But remember, this site is only accessible coming from the south, so that whoever is seeing that sign on the building is coming and having to turn around. Pankaj mentioned to you a month ago that there was some thought of asking for another on-building sign to be put facing the south. That idea, there's no suggestion of that. That's not going to be done. And I'm going to explain to you why as we continue to look at the photographs. Now, this is where this sign is going to be seen, so it makes a difference to somebody who's trying to, that the tenant is trying to draw into the site, right? Please don't ask me to tell you when this Google Street View photo was taken. I've never seen Route 9 with so little traffic on it. It must be 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning on July 4th or something like that. But here you see the existing sign, And one of the things that Pankaj was really the first to notice this when we first started looking at street views. Do you see how the sign is obfuscated by the leaves and the branches of these trees that are on property to the south? You have to look carefully in your smaller photographs, but branches of this tree are actually crossing in front of the top half of the sign. So the driver that's over here, let's say I've just gone through the light at Vassar Road, and we all know what that's like, and I'm heading north, and if I'm going to want to get over here to get into this entrance, I'm going to need to see the sign. And conversely, if I'm here also, I'm going to need to see the sign. So our next photos show you these same several sizes of sign. This was the sign that was originally proposed. And again, when I say 76 square feet, that's total 76 square feet. But what's missing here is this was photoshopped in, of course, and it disguises the fact that the branches are going to be in front of the sign. So again, I don't think it looks, out of scale. It's certainly very dignified compared to a lot of signage going on. You can see that there's a lot of things going on Route 9, but again, we respect the board's thoughts and are certainly willing to go with the medium sign, as it were. And this photograph shows that reduced sign. That's a total of the 68 square feet. And we think that this is a presentable sign too. I mean, it certainly does the job, but keep in mind that, again, this sign, we'll naturally go and ask the neighbors if they would agree to trim their trees, but we have no right to require that they do so. So again, you can see from the tree line here that the top quadrant of this sign is probably going to be a little bit obscured. And then this, the last, coming to the last of the pictures in your packet, is the compliance sign that doesn't require a variance. And when you continue the line that's drawn here, again, I wish we could have managed to Photoshop that accurately to show you. You can see that the trees in this one are going to block virtually half of the sign in the really obfuscating it. So for all these reasons, again, we respect the obligation of the board to grant the minimum variance, but it's not a minimum variance just for the sake of a minimum variance, right? It's to grant the minimum possible variance that meets the needs of the applicant without causing a negative impact on the character of the community as a whole. And we think that, again, if we want to just go back to the one comparing the two signs, the 50-foot and the 68-foot, that the balancing the needs of the owner and tenant with the needs of the community, we think that the variance for the 68 square foot total sign is warranted and is supported in the visual proof that we've established tonight. And we're happy to answer any questions you have to.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
Thank you for the presentation.
Oh,
It's very enlightening. Thanks.
okay, thank you.
Paul?
Can you tell me a couple of things? The sign that's on the building, do you know how big that is?
It's compliant. It doesn't require a variance. The signage on the front of the building, fully compliant.
How big is that, though? What's the square footage? What is the square
Square
footage?
footage wise is 113 square feet.
That's compliant for Route 9?
If you'd have asked me out of the blue, I would have said 100 square feet was for a wall sign, but
Oh,
Sounds.
sorry, 130 is the Montgomeryville. It's under 100 square feet, correct? Because I do multiple locations for them. It's under 100 square feet. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Because we finished up the sign for Montgomeryville in Pennsylvania also. That's 100.
okay, that's not...
But there's no variance for the signage. I want to
One of the
emphasize
things
that.
which I want to talk about here is like remember we talked about building cannot be seen. Our business is
Right.
in the summer. Our business is in the summer. and a building cannot be seen while driving north.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very important point, and I neglected to mention that we showed you that from the north, you can see that signage very clearly, but unfortunately, where you need to see it, if it were to be, to attract you into the site, would be from the south, and there's nothing that we would be able to do about the trimming of the trees that's going to allow anybody to see that building at a point where they need to make a decision to turn in.
And our business is in the summer.
But you're open through the winters as well, correct? You are open in the winter as well, correct?
We're open in the winter, but obviously,
Well, you're not doing as much business, but people recognize that you're there at some point in life. Okay.
It's right after Labor Day, the furniture, patio furniture is gone.
Pretty much done.
Gone, yes.
Yeah,
Any moment, yeah.
again, and I would just ask the board, we certainly understand the desire to bring signage under control, but at the same time, the need of the owner and the tenant to attract customers is great. Brick and mortar retail is not an easy business anymore. It's very easy to order everything online, including cars, where you negotiate everything and then you just stop by and pick it up. You can certainly order patio furniture online. So I think when you evaluate the request for the variance is not, when you examine the 5 factors and the substantiality of the variance, it's not a substantial variance that's being sought and is certainly in keeping. Again, this is the bigger sign, so why don't we put up the one that's the actually proposed sign now?
Paul, did you have other?
Nope, nothing else.
Okay. Art?
Remind me, it's a backlit sign?
Is it what?
It's backlit? The sign is lit internally?
It's internally lit, yes, internally lit sign, pylon signs, monument signs. Okay.
All right. No, you did a great presentation. I appreciate it. It's probably one of the better ones we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say this is very, very helpful, particularly this set of showing kind of from the car's point of view, and I mean I have no problem with this 68 square foot. I think you're absolutely right. It's weighing the benefit to Fortunoff to, so that people know where you are. Yeah, against the detriment to the area, and this, after all, is a major highway commercial corridor. So, Phyllis, any?
I have no questions, thank you.
Tony?
Is there one more room for one more tenant in the building now, or is
No, the other tenant is going to be the wine and liquor store,
right?
and that's it, there's no more space.
Okay, everything else
That's
is
it.
Fortunoff. Okay, I
And-
thought there was going to be small space in between the
No.
two.
And I think it was mentioned last month, Fortunoff is a long-term tenant, long-term lease.
I have no other questions.
Carmen?
Yes, I appreciate the presentation, and I think it's an example of what this board has requested many times: is a small, medium, and large, or the and the least.
Carmen, I hate to interrupt, but can you kind of swing your microphone, or the other one?
But anyway, the 68 square feet, that seems good. And I have to say that the smaller one, somehow, it just didn't balance.
Right, it looks dingy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And, but
Yeah.
I really do appreciate what you did.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Anyone in the audience? I guess not. We have a choice of one. She says no. Okay. All right. In that case, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you so much. It was very helpful. Okay, item number 2, Andrea and Lawrence Diamond, 12 Marie Court. Yep, just have a seat and state your name for the record.
I'm Lawrence Diamond.
Mr. Diamond, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge under penalty of law?
I do.
Very well.
Okay, would you just briefly describe what brings you here tonight?
Yes, my wife and I have owned 12 Marie Court for close to 25 years, and we'd like to build an accessory apartment onto the back of the existing house so that my son and his family could live in the main house and we're going to live in the accessory.
Okay. All right, Christine, any questions?
No questions.
Nope, no questions.
No questions?
All right.
Nope, good.
Okay. And I understand from the drawings that you've submitted that for this new addition, you don't need any variances,
That's
you've
correct.
got enough land back there.
Yes.
Okay. And probably in here someplace, but I don't remember, the parking arrangements. Is there going to be sufficient off-street parking?
Yeah, we've already all lived in the main part of the house. We have up to 4 cars. There's a 2-car garage and there's room in the driveway, which we might expand a little bit to handle the other 2 cars.
Okay. Phyllis?
You're a very nice parent.
I've been told that a lot, yeah. Yes, I've been told that a lot, but thank you.
I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Tony?
Questions?
There is a 2-car garage in the back.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anyone, there are no other questions from the board? Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Should we take a break?
Should we take a break? What do you think?
You're overruled by the chair.
Overruled.
But I don't often get to executive authority
sympathy.
here, but no, we're going to tough this one out.
Mean.
Gavel.
Okay. All right. So back to the first item, Fortunoff. Okay, this is an area variance to allow a sign of 68 square feet where the code sets the maximum as 50 square feet. Okay. Did we hear anything from the county? The local concern, okay. This is an unlisted action, so I move that for purposes of the environmental review of item number 1, that the ZBA declares itself the lead agency.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I further move that based on the environmental assessment short form that's included in the application, that the ZBA finds that the action proposed in item number 1 will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Discussion?
I think the arguments about visibility are pretty strong, but what are you going to do when Wine and Liquors makes the same arguments? I will tell you that I can clearly see the building northbound. It is in the winter, but I don't see a big difference between the 50 and the 68 in terms of visibility. And I'm concerned about the same argument. If you accept this argument, what would keep you from granting the Wine and Liquor tenant the same?
Okay, I think what my position on this is that the 68 square feet is the maximum. Okay, and so we've actually increased it beyond the 50. And one of the things that I noticed actually when they were showing us the various versions is that having the Fortunoff sign, the size that's being proposed, and then the wine and liquor, it's actually gives you an idea of the relative sizes of the stores. I mean, the Fortunoff is really the much bigger tenant than the wine and liquor. So I think I would use that as one of the justifications for keeping it the way it is. But they may come in for a variance and they can make their case. But I think
We'll just tell them they're a smaller store, so they get a smaller sign?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we in effect do that now when we've looked at facades and
On the building.
the way wall signs.
On wall signs, yes, but not on monument signs.
No, if you go to the plaza where the Big Lots, okay, the sign that they have out on 44. The bigger stores have a bigger portion of it. Some of the smaller stores have really just, a narrow strip with the name. I think it's consistent.
All right.
And the other thing to keep in mind, Mr. Chair, is that the owner is applying for this variance, and the liquor store would also need the consent of the owner. So since the owner is here and agreeing to a size sign of 68 square feet, the tenant would have to approach the owner first and make that application, and the owner would have to agree to a larger sign. So if the owner is here consenting to 68 square feet, then they would have to come up with a justification for why they're a larger sign at a different
Who's the owner?
plaza. Mr. Kath?
Okay, any?
He's the
I have
owner?
a question.
I didn't know that.
Is the whole sign 68 or just the Fortunoff sides?
Everything.
The whole
The
thing.
whole
sign is
the
the-
wine and liquors?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Just say something that's really not
Yeah.
exactly, but I'm assuming that, who's she?
Jennifer?
Jennifer Van Tile, the attorney.
Oh, never mind. Who's the sign company? You. The only thing I'd like to read.
For the owner.
Okay, gotcha. No, I was just saying the sign company, as Carm said, we've said before, that the presentation with multiple photos and stuff like that is a big help. It'll get you through here faster if you ever come back. If you remember to do small, medium, and large, you get out a lot faster. Make everybody's life easier.
Yeah.
But it was very nice, thank you. I'm good with the
And
68.
Jim, I also think that it looks balanced with the
Green?
at the bottom now with the flowers
Yeah.
and this. I think it looks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. We need to put together some findings for this. Let me find the. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The board adopts its findings as follows. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of this variance. The board finds that the proposed sign, which represents a reduction from the original proposal, fits in with the Route 9 corridor and will not produce an undesirable change in that area. 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. The board finds, based on the visual presentation of the applicant, that the sign in the 68 square foot design really is necessary given the location of the store and the nature of Route 9, that the visibility that it provides could not be achieved in any other way. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. The request is for 68 square feet. The code calls for 50 square feet. you can do the arithmetic, and it's a 36% increase. But given the location and the impact that it will have on the commercial corridor, it's really not substantial. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. The board finds that given the nature of the existing corridor, this proposed sign will have very little impact. 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. In a sense, yes, it's self-created because they want to put up a new sign or a different sign. But the sign has been there in that size, or actually a larger size, for a long time. And in that sense, it's not self-created. Okay. So with those as the findings, Christine, you want to make the motion?
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 1. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts as findings the determinations found in items 1 through 5, just listed by the chair.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the variance in item 1. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Is there?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Was there also a stipulation about the landscaping and the base of the sign?
That was not in the variance request, but it is part of the requirements in our code.
Okay.
For putting up that kind of a sign, that it has to be a landscape. So, and they're not asking for an exception to that. So, okay. So on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay. Item 1 is approved. There are what? 6 of us? 7 of us.
Everybody?
7. Yeah. Okay. We're a full board. Okay. Okay. Item number 2, Andrea and Lawrence Diamond, 12 Marie Court. This is a special use permit to allow the construction of an accessory apartment. It would allow the establishment of an accessory apartment within a single-family dwelling, which is going to be enlarged. There. Okay. Okay. Any comments or discussion? I think it looks attractive. I think it's tucked behind a building. I think in a way that most people won't even know that it's there from the street.
Right. He meets all the requirements for the accessory.
As near as I can tell, and so I think as part of the findings, we need to run through that. But let's see, if I get this right, there are 2 sets of findings that we have to do. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Here's the one specifically for the accessory unit.
Oh, thank you. And it's in bigger print. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see.
Where's the garage?
I thought there was a set of general.
There are 4 criteria for granting any special permit, and I'm looking for them.
Okay, I have that here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do the general ones first, then we'll do the specific ones. Okay, the basis, before issuing a special use permit, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the public health, safety, and welfare, and shall assure itself of the following. A, that there should not be any detrimental effect by the establishment of such use on other uses within the district. And I think the board finds that this is an existing single-family home in a residential zone, and that the construction of the addition and the creation of the of an apartment on the basement level will not have any detrimental effect on other properties in the neighborhood. B, that such use will be in harmony with the orderly development of the district, and the location, nature, and height of buildings, walls, fences, and parking areas will not discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent lands. This is really not applicable. This is in a neighborhood that is completely built out. The addition will have no effect at all on other buildings or properties in the neighborhood. C, that all structures, equipment, and materials shall be reasonably accessible for fire and police protection. You saw the drawings. There's adequate distance between the buildings. There's a driveway that extends around in the back to where the addition and the apartment will be. It's certainly reasonably accessible. It's actually very accessible. D, that the use meets the prescribed requirements for the district in which located, including minimum yard requirements for the district in which located, or as further specified in this section, including maximum height, required off-street parking, and sign regulations. The board finds, based on the drawings submitted, that all of these items have been met. This requires no further variances in terms of side yard setbacks and so on. Okay. All right. Now, there is a specific set of requirements for an accessory apartment, and I think as part of the findings, we should just check these off and make sure that they're have been met. The owner of the single-family lot on which the accessory apartment is located shall occupy and reside in the single-family dwelling unit or the accessory apartment on this lot. And this has been met. The owner is going to be living in the apartment. An accessory apartment should be located in or contiguous to the principal structure on a single-family lot. One building should be considered the principal dwelling. Based on the drawings, this has clearly been met. The apartment will be in the existing, part of it will be in the existing basement, and part of it will be in the attached new construction. Accessory apartments may be created only in dwellings which have been constructed for at least 2 years, or which have held a valid certificate of occupancy for at least 2 years. This has clearly been met. I believe the owner testified that they've been there over 20 years. Okay, special use permit shall be obtained subject to the following provisions. The apartment is clearly subordinate to the one-family dwelling. Again, based on the drawings, that's clearly been met. The number of bedrooms in the apartment shall not be more than 1. That's been met. The floor area of the apartment shall be greater than 400 square feet. And I believe the drawing shows...
932.
What is it?
9 and change.
932?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The floor area devoted to the apartment shall not exceed 35% of the existing floor area of the one-family dwelling. I did the arithmetic. The dwelling is 2,688 square feet, and that's from the parcel access. 35% of that is 940. So it meets the 35% ceiling. Okay. The apartment and one-family dwelling must have safe and proper means of entrance, clearly marked for the purposes of emergency services, with proper fire separation between the units. Certainly, there's a safe means of entrance. Actually, it'll be under the deck. And the applicants indicated that they're going to have it have an address, Unit B. And in terms of the fire separation, that's an ongoing requirement of the building and fire code that will be met when the construction takes place. Water supply from a private source, no, they're on a municipal water. And the next item, number 7, they're on a municipal sewer, so 7 does not apply, nor does 8, which only applies to a septic system. 9, site plan approval by the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board shall not apply unless the Zoning Board of Appeals directs that because of its complexity or unusual circumstances, it must have Planning Board site plan approval. I think in this case the proposal is very straightforward, and we don't need to go through site plans. Stairways leading to any floor, this will be on the ground floor, so that is not applicable. Adequate off-street parking shall be provided, according to testimony of the applicant. They already have adequate parking for the 2 families. Any apartment within a one-family dwelling that is in existence at the time shall be subject to special use permit. Okay, that's just an ongoing requirement. The Zoning Board of Appeals shall provide copies of the application to the building inspector, fire inspector, town assessor, and the Dutchess County Health Department. That's an ongoing requirement. The provisions of the State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, this again is ongoing as part of the building permit process. Any exterior changes in the single-family dwelling unit caused by the creation of the accessory apartment shall conform to the single-family character of the neighborhood. I think based on the plans and the testimony and site visits, it's clear that the proposal does conform to the neighbor. 16, continued compliance with all these regulations is required. That's ongoing. The apartment shall be inspected by the building and fire inspectors and the zoning administrators every 2 years to ensure compliance. Again, that's an ongoing requirement. Okay, so based on that survey, the board finds that the application for a special use permit for an accessory apartment meets all of the requirements in the zoning code. Any additions or corrections to that rehearsal of the findings? Okay, did I miss anything? I don't think so. Okay. All right. Okay. Based on that, I move to approve the request for a special use permit set forth in item number 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, the testimony of the applicant, testimony gathered during the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and that it meets the criteria set forth in the town code. Further, the board adopts as findings the statements previously made. So move.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, approved 7-0.
Okay.
Okay, and good luck with your building. Okay, that I believe is the end of our agenda.
Well, let's just keep going.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, is there anything that people want to raise at this point? I guess not.
Who's that?
If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.